Welcome to Season 3 of Digging Deep with Dr. Christie K. Thank you so much for being here and for choosing to spend a few moments of your day with me. These shows this season were thoughtfully curated with you in mind to inspire, challenge, encourage, and invite meaningful reflection around life, leadership, purpose, faith, and legacy. As you listen, I invite you to lean in, take what speaks to you, and allow the conversation to meet you right where you are. If today's episode resonates, please take a moment to like, share, and even subscribe. Your support helps these conversations reach others who may need them just as much. Now, let's dig deep together. Money has a voice, and whether we like it or not, it's speaking. Today, I'm joined by a woman who helps business owners and families finally listen to what their numbers are trying to say. My personal CFO, CPA, financial strategist, and dear friend, Alison Reiff-Martin. Alison doesn't just help people balance their books. She helps them understand the psychology behind every dollar, every decision, and even every blind spot. And today, we're talking about something that most entrepreneurs avoid. Not just how to run the business, but how to prepare for the day you won't be running the business. Just like funeral pre-planning, we plan our outfits, our meals, our appointments, but somehow we avoid planning for the inevitable. In business, it's the same. We plan for today, but not the exit, the sale, the transition, or the legacy. And that is where the numbers don't lie. This conversation is going to stretch you, clarify you, and prepare you. Welcome to Digging Deep with Dr. Christie K, where we're talking about numbers don't lie, the psychology between money and what you think you know. Welcome to the show, Alison.
Oh my gosh, that was such a great intro. I am really excited to be here, and I'll actually start it off by saying I love puns, so my favorite one is, why did the CPA cross the road?
Why?
To bore people on the other side.
Well, good thing you're not boring.
Exactly, I was going to say. I'm kind of hoping today will be, because again, a lot of business owners don't like talking about numbers. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping we can get you to all listen and understand the importance of knowing them so that you have the freedom in running your business.
That's right. And I can say we've been working together for how long?
I feel like 5 years now.
My goodness. It seems like we just met yesterday.
I know, right?
Yeah, and I remember the first meeting we had, I honestly did not want to have the meeting because I knew you going through my books was going to uncover nothing bad, but I just had such an emotional tie to the numbers, right. And I had an expectation of what I wanted them to be. And I knew that they weren't there yet.
Right.
And I can say over the time that we've been working together, you have been one of the people to single-handedly shift my mindset about money.
Wow.
And I'm no longer afraid to have the conversation. I fully understand what my profit and loss statement is saying, or my P&L is saying. I know what my balance sheet says. And you've taught me how to pivot and shift my mindset towards the goals that I've set for myself. So thank you so much.
Well, no, are you kidding? Thank you for the opportunity to help you do that. That actually, I've often heard that from a lot of people, that when we talk tax or accounting, it's not just, here's the number, I tell you why it's the number.
That's right.
Said that you can prepare ahead or you can think ahead, and you're like, oh my gosh, I spent $100 on toilet paper when I could have spent it on, something else.
That's right. That's right. And I would definitely say that when Alison and I met, I only had one location. And since then, I've opened the Frisco location and I built the crematory. And the mindset shift that she helped me have is what made me confident that even though it was in my mind to expand, that I could expand.
Yep.
So thank you so much.
No, I was going to say, it makes me think back to when I was working in corporate America and I started my accounting chops in TV and radio. And what I thought was really fun was it's TV. So who doesn't want to do accounting for TV? And I was lucky that the director of engineering, in the guise of protecting his budget, took me on the tour of Colorado at the time so that I could see what the towers look like. I could see what goes into making TV. And what I learned from that was you can only account for what you understand you're accounting for. So it's really important and exciting to get to know what's in the business. And that's, I mean, getting to learn about the crematory, getting to learn about the funeral industry and how to help you make good decisions for your business. That's been really fun.
I love that. Thank you so much. So many people think they know their money. Alison, what are the most common financial blind spots you see?
So a lot of people will do their accounting by their checkbook. Do I have money in my account? Well, then great, I must be making a profit. Or the thing a lot of people will do at the end of the year, because they're thinking, well, I got to hurry up and save taxes, so I'll go out and spend $100,000 on a piece of capital equipment. And I say only because I'm not minimizing, but only to save $20,000, which makes me think of my favorite cliche, which is don't jump over a dollar just to save a dime. And so, did you really need to spend $100,000? Maybe you did, or did you do it just to save all kind of tax dollars? And that one to me is always frustrating, because I'm like, why would you spend it just to save $20,000? You had to invest the $100 just to save $20,000. Did you really need it? Maybe you didn't. So that's one of the blind spots. That, like I said, basing it on your checking account, which, your checking account is only as current as the information you've put in it. And maybe you forgot about a check you wrote. Maybe you forgot that you've got an upcoming payroll tax bill or an insurance bill or something. That's a blind spot. And then I think, too, a lot of it is the fear of discovering that you aren't as paying attention to your numbers as you should be. Or, like, I can imagine when you and I first met and you didn't want me to look at your books because I might say your baby's ugly.
Yeah.
And that's not, I mean, it may be, it may not be, but you can't go forward if you don't know where to start from.
Right.
So that's, I think, is everyone's got the fear of, you're going to tell me I'm doing something wrong. You're not. Everybody has these challenges, or everybody has some kind of unexpected something. So it's, that's a blind spot. And then I like to just help you say, okay, so you spent $100,000 on this, great, what else can we do? What other things can we, I've always just learned, no, you can't do this, but you can do that.
Yes.
That's, that be open to those kind of things, what other things you could do. Don't be so locked in the fear of not knowing.
Yes. And you can either continue to be blind, or you can be blind and eventually see.
Right.
And that's exactly what you did for me. I wouldn't say, I could say that I was blind, because I literally was just working and paying the bills. I didn't understand cash flow. I didn't understand, net 15, net 30, net, all those different things. And so when you were like, okay, Christie, you're doing great. However, you could do even better if you do this. It softened the blow. I know some people are like, they are so traumatized by the way their CPA just tore into them based on their books. It just made them feel like, I don't ever want to go through that again. So they rather just not file their taxes, or they rather just hide money to make the books look best.
Right.
Not realizing that if you want to refi or get a line of credit, the bank is going to find that you have holes in your financials.
Well, the IRS might find out too.
Listen, I don't even want to talk about the IRS, but they will find it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So why not just face your fear, and maybe it's not as bad as you think.
Moto Casino, America's social casino. Welcome to Moto Casino, where the excitement never ends, with thousands of the hottest free-to-play social casino games, fastest payouts, and the best promotions in the industry. No tricks or gimmicks. Owned and operated in the USA.
Moto Casino is a free-to-play social casino. No purchase necessary. 21 plus to play. Void where prohibited.
Sign up today for a generous welcome bonus. Moto Casino, America's social casino. Download the Moto Casino app today.
Imagine this, your house burns down or your partner passes away and you call your insurance company and the claim gets denied. No payout, no safety net, just loss. It sounds extreme, but it happens every day. Insurance policies are full of exclusions that leave people vulnerable. That's why My Policy Advocate exists. They review your coverage, uncover gaps, and explain everything in plain English. They don't sell insurance. They help you understand what you already have. Visit mypolicyadvocate.com and protect what matters most.
Yeah.
Well,
why is money so emotional, and how does the psychological impact our financial decisions?
Well, I think a lot of people, again, don't realize if you know your numbers, it gives you the freedom to make a decision. So, but two, you know, some people will focus on, am I keeping up with the Joneses? You know, if I don't go out and you know, use my credit card to the max, well, then I can't go out on the fancy dinner, or I can't whatever with my clients. I mean, it takes a real challenge to be disciplined about not spending it for today, but thinking ahead for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I remember you told me when we first met that you will always give me best advice according to the numbers that I have. However, since it's my business, I can do whatever I want, but you're here to help. So I remember when I called you, okay, I had a Porsche. I remember I had the first one. And I was like, you know what, Alison? I have an opportunity to get another Porsche. It's an electric, and I was so excited. And the way I was telling you, I had already kind of made up my mind, but I'm kind of passing it through. And I heard in your voice, and you were like, I don't think you should do this. And you said, Christie, I don't think it's a great idea. I said, but Alison, it's not that bad. And so I'm convincing you so you can convince me.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you told me, I don't think it's best. However, if this is what you want to do, then this is how you proceed with it. Literally 2 months after I got that Porsche,
Yeah.
I was like, I should have listened to Alison. Oh my God. It was horrible.
I remember.
I was stuck in that doggone lease. I finally got out of it. I had to pay a pretty penny to get out of it. But I said, Lord, when you get me out of this lease, I will never go against what Alison tells me to do, because we have built a rapport where I know that you have my best interests at heart.
Right.
Now, of course, while I still do my due diligence to make sure that everything is great, but you have not failed me yet. So I thank you for that.
Well, I was just thinking as you were talking about some business owners who don't want to work with their CPA because they're afraid. I mean, this is a no judgment space, and in the end, I don't care how you spend it. Just tell me that you did, and I can help you figure out what can you do, or if you want to get out of something, what can we do? You know, within the rules. And there's, and again, I think it goes back to learning with the director of engineering at my very first TV station. He was like, well, what can you do to make sure I make my numbers? You know, and because he had a bonus writing on it, you know, the whole station had a bonus writing. I mean, you know, all kinds of things. And it was like, okay, great. Now that I understand what the transmitter will do, what other things can we do so that I can make sure you can have that kind of, you know, the freedom to spend the money like you're supposed to.
Yeah. And it's funny because you know everybody, no matter how meticulous they are, they have a junk drawer or a junky closet somewhere in their home or in their office where they just kind of hide and push everything that they don't want to deal with or sort out in those spaces, right? So what keeps entrepreneurs from looking at their numbers honestly and consistently?
Well, I can think, and it will lead into some other questions we're going to talk about later, especially as you think about at some point you want to sell your business. Most of us don't think about it because we're too busy working in the business, or we haven't figured out how to delegate, you know, our duties down to, you know, our staff to help us grow. So like, you know, you sit there and think of, you know, you've got this amazing team that you've been able to, like, you know, act as a CEO now, because, and that's, you know, you now have the freedom to sit there and think, okay, my numbers are this, I want to get us to Y, how do I do it? You know, so that, I think that's a lot of what people don't do. Again, too, it goes back to the fear. But again, if you do it consistently, and it should be more than once a year when you file your tax return. Right. It should be at least once a month. And again, then you can sit there and start thinking, you know, okay, great. My goal is to make $1 billion. I'm at $750 million. I've got 3 weeks to do it. What do I need to do? And so by knowing your numbers consistently, you can sit there and think, I'm behind. How do I get ahead? Oh, I'm ahead. Do I want to get more ahead? So so I think it's, again, get over the fear, and that's hard to do. So that's really hard to do, but just get over it, and then you'll feel better once you know.
But some listeners now are thinking, I don't want to open up that door to that closet. I don't want to pull out that drawer, because then I'm going to have to reconcile that I didn't take care of my business, and it may make me seem like a bad business person and it may make me vulnerable to scrutiny from my bookkeeper, my CPA, what have you. But how does financial avoidance show up in business owners' personal life?
Well, stress.
Yeah.
I can think bad health because you're spending nights tossing and turning, worried. Can you make payroll? Oh, I don't know. Can you pay the tax bill? Can you pay your insurance bill? Oh my gosh, is my spouse going to hate me because I can't pay all these bills? So again, we've got the health issue to worry about. And then remember, if the business is dependent upon you and you get sick, you compound the problem. So it is so much, again, I feel like I'm a broken record here, but just get over the fear.
Yeah.
Because it's not as bad as you think. Or maybe it is, and you're like, okay, but I have a road forward.
Right. And when people get over the fear, because fear is totally able to, you can get over it.
Right.
Fear is just a bump in the road.
Right.
And it's kind of like the boogeyman that we think is hiding underneath our beds when we were kids, or in the closet, or we're afraid to walk into our dark house and then we turn on the light. I'm like, it's not that bad. There's nothing going on once the light is shed. And I really think of you as like the light that was shed for me for my business, because I literally would like open up my online banking and be like, oh God.
Yeah.
Or I'd be afraid to open up my mail like, oh God. And I was making good money. I mean, we had great money coming in, but I also had money coming in and a lot of money going out as well.
Right.
And I didn't know, how to categorize. I'm trying to do my own books, and I don't know how to categorize things. So QuickBooks Online is telling me I'm negative this when actually I wasn't, because I wasn't categorizing, right. So when people take the time to get over the fear, what happens emotionally when someone finally understands their numbers?
Well, it also makes me think of another cliche. Your tax return and your books are but a report card. You should always know the answer, and you should always get an A. Because you always know the answer, and so you can walk in confidently and know, you can make great decisions. You have time to focus on building the business to whatever you want it to be. Or you have the freedom to say, you know what, I'm going to leave at 5 o'clock tonight. Why? Because I've already achieved my goals and I know I can do it.
That's right.
Or, think of it too like, a physical fitness. I know that I can have ice cream tonight because you know why? I worked out every single day and today's my cheat day.
That's right.
And I've taken care of myself well enough to know, kind of a thing. So, yes, once you start looking at your numbers and you do it consistently, I think your life in general gets better, and you can really sit there and focus on opportunities to grow your business. Like, you can manifest the goals that you set for yourself.
Okay. Would you rather have every client finally keep clean books, or have the IRS send you a handwritten note saying you're doing amazing?
I think, honestly, I would not want the IRS to send me a letter.
Anything. Don't send me anything.
Because, honestly, don't you, when you see the IRS notice, you're like, whoa, your heart drops?
Listen, that envelope, it's a special kind of envelope that comes to the mail. I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah, exactly, right? And you're just sitting here thinking, so no, first off, the IRS is never going to do that. But second off, no, I would not want the notice. I would want clean books with a challenge. Because, again, accounting as a process by itself is boring, but it's what you know about the numbers that again opens up an opportunity for you to be like touring your crematory. Oh, hey, I can think about this, and this, so that we can help make sure we're depreciating it right. Or, oh, I didn't realize you guys invest in whatever it is you invest in for the crematory to make sure that you're taking care of your families. Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, now here's how I got to categorize that. So everything is an opportunity. Even with good books, but even with challenges, you're like, oh, I didn't know you did this. Let me do this better, so.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. I'm thinking about all of the great conversations that we've had over the years. And when we first started, you said, we're going to be talking every week. I'm going to put together a budget for you. We're going to have goals. And I'm like, every week? And so the first 2 weeks, I'm like, oh my gosh. But I literally started looking forward to the conversations every week. And then as my wings got stronger, every week became bi-weekly.
Yep.
Then became monthly. And now we have to be like, hey, I haven't talked to you in 6 weeks. Call me. What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So,
yes.
But, the nice thing is you have had the confidence to go out and, again, bring on a great team to help grow Mansfield Funeral Home. You have been able to step outside and do these wonderful things like the podcast because you had the discipline to pay attention to your numbers, to know what freedom you have.
Absolutely. And I can't thank you enough for that. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much.
So give us like a horrible scenario of you brought on a client and did they hand you like a shoebox full of receipts? Like give us, because there are listeners that are like, my books are a mess. Alison or someone like Alison will not want to deal with it. But I want them to know that there is no mess too messy for someone like you that cares about people first. So give us the worst case you've ever dealt with.
Honestly, someone brought me a shoebox. And and it's kind of like one of those you sit there and think, is that really just a stereotype that people keep their receipts in shoeboxes? And I thought that actually, yeah, that would be true. Or not true, but sure enough, somebody brought in a shoebox and I was like, what? Okay. And then you just, again, methodically, put them out and you can fix anything. It's just, what do you have? What's my objective? To create a net income statement or balance sheet or whatever it is I'm doing. Great, I'll fix it and show you best practices so that we don't have to photocopy every single receipt ever again.
Right, absolutely.
Or scan them or whatever it is we do, but what systems can we put in place to make it easier for you so that you want to do your books or that the bookkeeper wants to do them or, but no, yes, it might be challenging, but everything's fixable.
Everything is fixable. Now, you often say no one should run a business alone. Why is a team, CPA, bookkeeper, attorney, so critical?
Because no man is an island. You can't do anything by yourself. I mean, you can, but wouldn't that be kind of boring and overwhelming? And, you've often talked about what is your purpose. My purpose is to do taxes and accounting. Your purpose is not,
Right.
And so, and then to boot, you don't know what you don't know. You need somebody on your team to say, hey, if you did this, you could save $1 billion in taxes. If you didn't do this, you could maybe still save $1 billion in taxes. And then the financial advisor could say, yes, but have you considered, if your goal is to be able to leave, $20 billion to your kids, well then maybe the tax is as less important than focusing on the fact that you want $20 billion for your kids.
Yes.
Kind of a thing. And the estate attorney who can, or the just attorney in general, be like, okay, you guys can do all this, but have you considered the potential liability? So you need a whole team who is helping you to grow your business to allow you, again, to fulfill your purpose.
Yeah, and I definitely took that advice when you told me that. So for those who are listening, Alison is my CFO, my CPA, and my bookkeeper. I used to have a separate bookkeeper and separate CPA until they didn't talk to each other. This was early on, and I ended up owing money because one didn't tell the other. And so having Alison fluidly serve through the entire process helps because she talks to herself.
Yeah.
She tells herself when she switches hats from bookkeeper to CPA, or I talk to her as a CFO, we have a full understanding of the picture. But then she also has my wealth advisor on speed dial.
Yep.
She has my business attorney on speed dial. And so it's nothing for us to get into a group chat or an email saying, hey, this is what Christie has going on. What do you all think? They'll all chime in. I'll figure out what works best, and then we move forward. Right. So some people want to say, well, I have a friend that is a tax attorney, and I have a friend that does this. Get them all in the room first, set the expectation, and then make it and tell them, in order for me to work with each of you all need to be able to work together.
Right.
And I need a transparent conversation between each of you all, because if one person's not telling me correctly, you don't have to embarrass them, but I need you to tell me they just advised you incorrectly.
Right.
And so when you have that conversation, everything works out.
Exactly. And everybody on your team should be there for you. I mean, it's, our goal is to make sure you are able to be successful, because when you're successful, so are we.
And so are you. That's right. What's one mistake business owners make that could be solved simply by having a better support system that we just talked about?
Well, I can say, I don't even want to say mistake, but like not giving up control of all work, like thinking you have to have all your hands in the pie.
Yeah.
And there are things I love to do, but you know what? I don't have time to do it, so I have like my admin send out and and write my letters for me or whatever. And I love to do it, but you know what? She can do it quicker than I can, and I can focus on the bigger picture. Similar to like you, having your team to like handle all the various aspects again, so you can be the CEO of Mansfield Funeral Home, especially as you're expanding. You don't have time to worry about the nitty gritty of the business. You have to go, your goal is to help grow the business so that your team can benefit from it.
Yeah.
So just, I think not delegating is a big mistake. And just, let people learn how to do the job. Let them, pick the right people who really want to help you grow and who are eager to learn and start taking on more duties, that again, the more you free up my time, the more, I get to help to do fun things too as a business owner, when we all get to reap the benefits for it.
That's right. When you and I started together, it was just myself, one other person, and then part-timers. And Maisha and I were running with our heads, like chickens with our heads cut off. It was horrible because I didn't understand my numbers, and I thought that I couldn't afford to hire anybody. And you said, Christie, you've got to hire some more people. I can't afford it. Yes, you can.
You can, and here's how we'll do it. And again, and I do think I think if you think what accountants, the big mistake they do is they stay in their lane. Well, the lane is the business too. I can't help you figure out X if all I'm focusing on is your tax return. So you need to, I think you need to find somebody who cares about the whole of you, not just the one part of you.
That's right. And I can say, based on Alison's advice, I went from 2 employees and now I have 13.
I know, right?
I used to freak out about payroll, and now my payroll is triple what it was, and I don't bat an eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I have the confidence that I have the cash flow to do it.
And you have a great team who is eager to take on more work, and the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Moto Casino, America's social casino.
Welcome to Moto Casino, where the excitement never ends. With thousands of the hottest free-to-play social casino games, fastest payouts, and the best promotions in the industry. No tricks or gimmicks. Owned and operated in the USA.
Moto Casino is a free-to-play social casino. No purchase necessary. 21 plus to play. Void where prohibited.
Sign up today for a generous welcome bonus.
Moto Casino, America's social casino.
Download the Moto Casino app today.
Imagine this, your house burns down or your partner passes away and you call your insurance company and the claim gets denied. No payout, no safety net, just loss. It sounds extreme, but it happens every day. Insurance policies are full of exclusions that leave people vulnerable. That's why My Policy Advocate exists. They review your coverage, uncover gaps, and explain everything in plain English. They don't sell insurance. They help you understand what you already have. Visit mypolicyadvocate.com and protect what matters most.
So,
what if our listeners are saying, but I have limited resources. I don't have the money to afford people think a big time CPA or a big time bookkeeper. I'd rather just buy a basic monthly subscription to QuickBooks or Paychecks or something like that, and I'll just figure it out. How can small business owners build a strong foundation with their finances even though they have limited resources?
well, I would say first off, at a startup spot of your business, Excel can be your friend. If you have the discipline to keep the numbers up. Not every small startup requires, investing in QuickBooks. You can start with a spreadsheet, and then when you finally grow, well, then maybe you can look at QuickBooks, or there's other accounting alternatives out there as well. You can talk to your friends and say, hey, would you like to do some friends and family like investment in my business to help start out? And then and again, there's even all kinds of options, equity options, like if you really are going gangbusters, you can say, we could write out an agreement that says, if you do all this work for me and I'm able to, hit a certain number, well, then I can maybe give you some equity in my business. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can do it, So you just have to be creative, and you have to just start asking questions of your friends, family, like read books, or go to like a community college and do like a free class, like an audited class or whatever. But there's all kinds of ways you can do it, and just don't be afraid to ask. And you don't always need the big CPA firm. You don't always need the big estate or the law firm. You don't always need the big wealth advisor too. There's lots of small business owners out there. There's lots of small business owners out there who, want the opportunity to help you too.
Right. I remember before you and I met, I had someone quote me almost 4 times. And I'm like, as far as their monthly invoice, and I'm like, have you lost your mind?
Yeah.
I don't have that kind. Well, we have overhead. You have to pay for this, and I'm like, that's not my problem.
Yeah, that's not my problem.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
Yeah, and and again, you just have to figure out what do you want. And sometimes maybe having the bigger CPA firm is what you want, depending upon what your goals are.
True.
I mean, you just have to sit there and think, what do I want? I want to make money. How do I do it? Go ask my friends if they'll help me. Go to networking. Go to all kinds of, just start asking people for help and asking questions. Mm-hmm. That's the best way to get out there. And in fact, when I first went out on my own, that was pretty much, I'm like, who do I see who's successful? Great, I'm going to schedule lunch with you, and you tell me how you did it so I can do it too. That's
right.
And that's you as a business owner can do that, and Excel can be your friend sometimes.
That's right. In this journey of entrepreneurship, I find myself thinking about, okay, I'm 47 now. Will I be actively running the funeral home in the next 20 years? I'll be 67. Do I really want to have trained my staff, who have then trained another staff, and I'm just overseeing and just doing 100% community events, So as I'm getting older, I'm starting to think about the exit plan. Mm-hmm. And exit does not necessarily mean when I pass.
Right.
It's not wise to think that you are going to die in your business. And I've learned that's not wise, because if you scale your business properly, you can still maintain your legacy by selling it, mm-hmm. or partnering, or scaling it to multiply your business structure.
Right.
But people are like, I'm going to die here. And I'm like, why do you want to die?
First off, why?
Yeah, why do you want to die in your business? That's no fun. So most people plan for today, but never for the day they walk away. Why is exit planning so neglected?
Because again, the days are long, but the years are short. Mm.
Yeah.
And again, you're too busy working on the business. You'll be like, I'll get to it today, or kind of like what you have said always, we plan what we eat, we plan what we wear, but we don't plan like for funeral needs. We don't plan, heck, a lot of people don't even think about their tax return until 12/31. And by then, it's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late. And a lot of people are just thinking, someday I'll retire. And I do think that a lot of people will have to ask themselves, is this a growth business or is this a lifestyle business? Mm. Why did I go out on my own? You know what I mean? And is this just so I can pay the bills today? Well, and then what happens when you get to the end? Then you have no more money coming in. Well, so exit planning, a lot of people just don't think about, but it is so very important to spend time thinking about it and put the processes in place so that, again, you can step away, maybe still own it, but you don't have to worry about doing the day-to-day stuff. So, start your business with the exit in mind. I want to retire when I'm 70 years old, or whatever the number is, and I want to be able to have $1 billion, or again, whatever the goals are. But it's important to talk with your CPA, financial advisor, and attorney, just to make sure that they know, here's the goal. The goal is to be able to retire when I'm 67. Great. Here's how we do it.
Right. So what should business owners be doing right now, long before retirement or sale, to prepare for an eventual exit?
Well, first off, have a clean set of books, ones that where you know your numbers. Make sure that you understand, why are you in the business? Again, is it a lifestyle business or is it a growth business? And either answer is fine. It's just, what do you want? And so then you would want to go back and look, well, what processes do I have in place so that I can start stepping away from the business? So like, automated invoicing for me, or, whatever those are. Start just thinking, what process can I put in place so that I can bring on a team, so that I can grow, and then always be thinking, what is my exit? I want to, maybe I don't want to sell. I want to collect passive income where I'm still like the CEO and everyone else is running it, and I just, occasionally check in. I mean, it's really kind of, but again, you have to have a team to help you figure out what those things are.
You mentioned about knowing your business value. And so I've heard of EBITDA and people like, okay, what's your business worth? So how can entrepreneurs determine the real value of their business, not what they think is worth?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you're trying to sell your home, you think your home is worth $200,000 more than what the market says. And you start getting offers, and it really hurts your feelings. Like, this is all you want to pay for my home? I put my blood, sweat, and tears in this home.
Exactly.
How can entrepreneurs determine the real value of their business before deciding to sell or transition out of it?
Well, I mean, the best and most official way is to work with a certified valuation analyst, or someone who has what they call an ABV, a business valuation expert. So you can have a full-blown official write-up. You can do some estimates. And again, knowing that they're not necessarily official, but based on industry, you can go and figure out what is the EBITDA, or earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization.
I love that you know what that means.
But basically, what is your operating income, or net income for the year? What industry are you in? So in my case, I would pick the accounting industry, and I'd say, what is the EBITDA multiple or the revenue multiple to value it by? So, and I'm going to completely pretend. Let's say that my net profit, or a business owner, or CPA's net profit is $500,000, and the multiple, you could even just use an average of 4. You would multiply your net profit times 4. So in this case, it'd be $2 million. So you'd be like, okay, wow, I'm worth $2 million. Well, I want it to be worth 3. How do I get it to be worth 3? And what's fun about those numbers is you set the benchmark. So you're like, okay, I'm only worth 2. And am I happy with that? Great. Can I kick back? Do I want to kick back? You know what I mean? It just offers lots of opportunity for you to sit there and think, what do I want it to be worth? So that, maybe you start thinking, well, I want to retire when I'm 67 and I want it to be worth $3 million. Well, right now I've got a 20-year runway and it's only worth 2. What do I do? Do I bring in staff? Do I, do I niche down on my business model? Do I, do I need more certifications? Do I need more, do I start networking more? Do I this? Do I that? What do I do? But set your benchmark so that you can start thinking realistically, what do I do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
When I look at my because I have to send you my reports every month, and we're going to kind of shift that so I don't have to do that anymore. But when I'm downloading my report for my revenue each month, I'm holding my breath, okay. But you have already set the standard and the expectation for me to know what my revenue should be. So when I hit that and it pops up, I'm like, yay! And there have been times where I didn't hit it, and I'm like, yay! What should I have done differently? What could I have done differently? So your coaching has allowed me to self-reflect and analyze my business in real time.
Right.
So I can get up from my desk or wherever I am and say, okay, team, we did great this month, but this is what we need to do next month. This is what we need to do next year. And that's what having someone like you in my corner has been for me. When before I'm like, we didn't hit the mark or whatever that mark is, we'll figure it out next month.
Well, and I was going to say, in watching you over the 5 years we've known each other, you've even expanded beyond what you thought was possible. You know, when you just sit there and think, you're like, year one, well, I made X. Oh, okay. Well, how do I get to X plus, infinity squared?
Right.
You know, I mean, you have, and again, it is evident by the fact that Mansfield Funeral Home is expanding. And again, you're doing these wonderful things like the podcast. You've got the Dr. Christie K Foundation. I mean, you've got all kinds of, you've been able to expand because you've expanded your openness to, let the possibilities come in and what can you do differently.
Absolutely. So you're a mom.
Yes.
And a wife.
Yes.
And tell me, as an entrepreneur, because even though you help others in their business, you have your own business. So tell me about your business, the name, and tell me, how do you balance being all the things to your family and being so wonderful with your clients?
You ain't heard about Moto Casino? Moto has real Vegas slots. Any game you can find on the floor in Vegas, you can play it on Moto. I like my slots hot. Moto's free to play, like food stamps, in line at the grocery store, at a funeral, in traffic. Keep your eyes on the road. Hop on Moto Casino. Moto Casino got jackpots that are bigger than my belly. Moto, America's hottest free-to-play social casino.
Download the Moto Casino app today. Moto Casino is a social casino. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary. Visit moto.us for more details.
Moto Casino, America's social casino.
Many people think they're covered until they find out that they're not. Every year, millions of insurance claims are denied, not because people did anything wrong, but because policies are confusing and full of hidden gaps. That's why they built My Policy Advocate. Their platform reviews your current insurance, highlights risks, and explains everything in plain English. No selling, no pressure, just education and transparency. Don't wait until it's too late. Visit mypolicyadvocate.com and take control today.
Well, thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
Well, so Reiff-Martin CPA obviously is my last name, and I have actually, I'll just say, I started the journey because I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't have the confidence to go out on my own until I was working for an advertising agency, and I was replacing the contract CFO, and when I looked at her invoice to see what they were paying her per hour, and she didn't have near the level of credentials that I had, I was like, oh my God, I can go out on my own. So I went home to my husband and I said, I would really like to go out on my own. What do you think? And he said, you know what? You get these questions answered, and if you can do it, great. So I went to a friend of mine who is a business owner too, and I said, I would like to see what the possibilities are. And she said, great, come to my office. There's a open space. They're going to have a networking event. It'll be fabulous and wonderful, and you will be able to, see what the possibilities are. And so we get there. She says, I got to meet with somebody. You sit here and have lunch. And so a man walks up and sits next to me, and we start chatting, and I say, or he says, why are you here? And I said, well, I'm a CPA, I'm thinking about going out on my own, and I just want to see what the possibilities are. And he, no joke, leans in and he says, I could be your first client. And
wow.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, yes, you can. And here, when are we going to meet? And what time should I plan to be there? And I ran out to my car, and I said to my husband, Phil, hey, guess what happened? This is it. He wants to meet with me. He says he can be my first client. And he said, you may now start your business. and that was, we're just about to start year 10, which is like 10. I keep thinking, that's amazing to make it that long, because a lot of entrepreneurs don't. And so 10 years of trying to, again, learning, growing, what can I do right? What can I do better? How can I serve clients like I want to? And actually this year, my husband actually joined the team.
Awesome.
And so, he's an enrolled agent, and he's got lots of experience in financial, he's just great and cute too. So that part helps. But anyway, that actually has helped me because he has, taken a lot off my plate. We've brought on an admin. We've got all kinds of things, and just, I've got a bookkeeper on staff, and it's just, everyone's there for the sole goal of serving clients, and that's that's how I got started. So I don't know if that was a long-winded way to answer the question, but how do I balance my life? Especially now that Phil and I are working together, when we get home, we don't talk about work. We still have date night. Same with the kids. I make sure that, my daughter and I go out regularly for a manicure, pedicure, and then we sit and talk about anything but what mom did at work. So
that is amazing. And as a woman, how do you care for yourself as you nurture others?
Honestly, I realized how important the bi-weekly manicure, pedicure is.
Yeah.
Because nobody will, or, what do they say on the airplanes? Put your life jacket on first. That way you can save other people too. I mean, so if I'm not here, you know what I mean? Like, and again, I think that goes back to the idea of exit planning. If I'm not here, the business should still be able to run.
That's right.
That's
right.
So it's been great trying to figure out the right team to bring on board. Just probably like with you, with bringing on all your team, bringing the right people on who want to help you grow in the direction you want to go.
I know listeners are like, I hear everything that Christie and Alison are talking about. I 100% agree with it. I feel like I'm too far down the road to turn back, to start again. Let me tell you, it's not about starting over. It's not about turning back. It's starting right now.
Right.
Making the phone call right now.
Right.
You cannot save yourself if you don't know what you're saving yourself from.
Right.
And just because you're looking at the numbers, like Alison said, the numbers tell a story. You're looking at the numbers from one perspective. You need someone from the outside looking in to read the numbers, to tell you the story that they're telling, so you can then tell them the story you wanted to say.
Right, exactly.
Right?
And you sit there and think, if the story you want to say to lenders is, I want a loan, well, you need people to help you figure out how to get the numbers to say, with the right way. Yes, please give her a loan, and here's why give her a loan.
Yeah, I'm bankable.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of a thing. So you need somebody to help you explain your story well, too.
Absolutely. I want you to take a couple of moments to talk to the audience directly, especially those that are saying, I'll get to it one day. And I want you to speak from your heart and talk to them about the importance of letting that get to it one day not be 2 years from now.
Or 10.
Or 10 years. Or 2 weeks. Let one day be today. Set the intention to make the phone call in the morning to someone that you can trust. Talk to them about it being okay and how someone like you, if not you, can help them get to where they want to be.
Well, I seem to remember one of your wonderful interviews you've done where something about, you were talking about purpose. If you work this hard and at the end you don't get to enjoy it, what was it for? You know what I mean? So why did I get it to go out on my own? Why? Because I figure I can serve customers better than anybody else can in this particular area. Well, if that's my purpose, why am I wasting time being afraid to look at the numbers? And if I don't know what the numbers are, how do I know that I can fulfill my purpose? So, think of it like dating. Not every CPA, estate attorney, financial advisor are going to know that they can talk with you, are going to be the right person for you. You may have to date a bunch of them to figure out who's the right one. Just make the first call and talk to them. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way. Just get out and figure out, who do you jive with? Who do you like talking with? Who can appreciate your puns and jokes,
Right. Yeah, that's important.
Wants to hear about your story, because then it makes them think, oh, you just had a baby. What else can we do? Or whatever whatever it is, or oh, you want to expand into another location? Great, how do we do that? Mm-hmm. What do I have to start thinking about? What do I need to do to make sure that you're ready to be able to do it?
Excellent. God, we thank you for clarity, wisdom, and stewardship. Bless every listener with the courage to look at their numbers honestly, to plan for the future intentionally, and to build both a life and a business rooted in purpose and preparation. Guide them in their decisions, strengthen them in their discipline, and surround them with a team that protects their vision and legacy. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Alison, thank you for reminding us today that your future does not begin at retirement. It begins with the decisions you make right now. We plan for dinner, we plan for vacations, we plan for meetings, but rarely do we plan for the end of a business, a season, or even the end of our own lives. When you know your numbers, you know your options. When you understand your money, you understand your future. Don't wait until you're tired, done, or desperate to prepare for what's next. Your exit, your legacy, and your peace depends on the planning you start today. God bless you. Thank you so much for listening to Digging Deep with Dr. Christie K. It is my sincere prayer that something you heard today sparked clarity, encouraged your heart, and inspired you to move forward with intention. If this episode impacted you, I encourage you to like, share, and leave a review. Your engagement helps us to continue to grow and create meaningful conversations that matter. Until next time, live well, lead with purpose, and continue to dig deep.